The 3 C's of information, or the reason why all quantitative information is actually qualitative information at some point, and thus in no way can one claim that quantitative means more reliable. Most of what I'm about to explain starts at first principles, but here are a couple of people who've done it first. That little quote at the bottom can be summarized quite simply: garbage in, garbage out. A quick preview, these are the 3 C's that I'll be talking about today. We'll come back to this, but just take a mental note for now. I'm going to explain the 3 C's using an example research question. That is, how many blue circles are there? How many blue circles are there on the screen? It looks like 4, but let's just count them to be sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, definitely 4. Pretty easy, yes? You just have to count them. Well, no, you don't just count them. I've missed a couple of steps. Those steps, as I'm about to explain, are basic, but they're so basic that we don't even think about them most of the time, and we use intuition instead. We should all recognize that intuition can be very dangerous when it comes to data. If you're analyzing data, if you're trying to interpret survey results, if you call yourself a data scientist of any kind, you cannot afford to skip the steps I'm about to explain. I'll show you what I mean by adding the tiniest layer of complexity to our question. Now, how many blue circles are there? Some might say there are 4 blue circles. Someone else might come in and say there are 3 normal blue circles and 1 phthalo blue circle. And then you might get an artist come along and say, no, that's not phthalo blue, that's navy. Is phthalo blue blue? Is navy blue? Our very simple question has become very complicated. Now I'm going to make it even more complicated. The answer is, there's no such thing as blue. What you're seeing is a particular wavelength being emitted from the screen. This wavelength happens to be in the visible spectrum, specifically in the part of the spectrum people generally refer to as blue. The fact that we've all agreed that light at these frequencies is called blue is a convention. The past couple of centuries we've become a lot more organized about convention and have started writing them down. An example of this is the quality of being 1 meter in length. Yes, the quality. It can be used as a quantity, but like all quantities, it's derived from a quality. Someone in France has an object. If the thing you're measuring is exactly the same length as that particular object, we have all agreed it is 1 meter long. Even then, it's only 1 meter when measured at precisely 20 degrees Celsius. But we all had to agree, and that's a step we missed at the beginning: convention. In fact, the meter is actually the first ever international standard, ISO 1, an attempt at a universal convention. Okay, let's agree that navy is different from straight up blue. There is one more step that we skipped at the start, and that is classification. Classification is the process of going through using the convention and deciding what category each thing falls into. Hence, you can also call it categorization. Luckily, we picked a simple question to begin with because there is an existing convention. The convention we'll use today is the RGB color model. This model uses the amount of red, green and blue, primary colors, again another convention, on a scale of 0 to 255 to categorize the thing we're seeing as having the quality of being whatever color it is. Let's go through and do that now. Let's look at that one, now that one, and that one. These all have 0 red, 0 green, and 255 blue. That is pure, plain blue. So we'll use our convention and call these blue. What about this last one? 0, 0, 128. Well, this one, according to our convention, we call navy. And what do you know? The artist was right. Remember that one next time you make a joke about fine arts degrees. The final step now is simply to count the ones we classified as blue. This is the one we jumped to at the start, and I hope you now realize why it was wrong to jump ahead. Now this one's pretty easy though. 1, 2, 3. How many blue circles are there? There are 3. Not the answer you might have thought of at first. So if you're using data, be rigorous, don't skip steps, and don't always listen to your intuition. So next time you fill out a survey like this, ask yourself, am I applying any sort of convention here? Well, unless the researcher got every participant into one big room and got them to all agree what each question and each option means, the answer's probably no. Right away, you've introduced error into your data. Ask yourself, am I applying any sort of classification here? Well, the survey participant is, but who knows what classification they're using? The control has been stripped away from the researcher, and the information is stripped from the data. You simply cannot know. So even more error. And remember, garbage in, garbage out. As for counting, what are you even counting at this stage? I hope by now you can realize that there is no quantity here to call this quantitative data. So the lesson here is, don't get the form to do the work for you, because the form is not smart, but hopefully you and your fellow researchers are. And those are the 3 C's.